Welcome on this wonderful, sunny, fresh day, and what a pleasure it is to all be together in person. So much fun to have you with us today. We've seen many of you on Zoom over the last couple of summits we've had, but what a pleasure to be back at Prince Philip House in this wonderful venue with a wonderful lineup of speakers. And thank you in advance to all our speakers who are sharing their time with us this afternoon. Now, I'm going to just do a little bit of scene setting, and I promise you, I'm the only presentation. So I have the benefit of just showing you a little bit of eye candy, which I think hopefully you'll find interesting and will set the context for our afternoon together. A series of open-ended questions. And one of the questions of this year was very much, top of mind concerns for the business community. Let's talk about inflation, cost of living, attracting and retaining talent. Where are all the human resources that we need? Climate change, ESG, supply chain, geopolitics, China, Russia, the States, recession risk, government political instability, regulation, we'll be talking about that in a moment, competitors, digital disruption.
All of this, the pandemic, the war, the economy, inflation, just everything affects the corporate brand. And the corporate brand is under so much pressure today. And it's really the safe harbor, as we say.
Interestingly, though, I think some of Echo's own research shows that actually a well-regulated market is actually trusted both by consumers and indeed by investors.
Mitigation isn't going to do it anymore. We have to think about adaptation. And for our organizations, that adaptation is starting now. It's not something we can kick down the road for 50 years. It's something that we need to really think about now if we want to be around in 50 or 100 years. Is the business that we're in sustainable in the sense of, does it make sense?
You've got to communicate in turn. You've got to try and communicate with your shelves. And frankly, sometimes you have to put your head above the parapet and say what it is in very simple terms, what the truth is about why things are happening or not happening.
Two really big lessons from that situation. I mean, the first is, I think often the dialogue between regulators and those they regulate is often very stylized. And it's often very stylized for good reason. There are lots of legal rules around how you consult and all of those sorts of things. But I think often you can have quite a sort of atrophied kind of conversation going on, which follows certain rules and follows certain conventions. Whereas actually during the pandemic, I think we had meetings where real work was being done between all the different parties. We have a problem, how are we going to solve it? And I think quite often regulators feel forced to come to the table saying, we have a problem, we've also worked out what we think the solution is, now tell us if that solution doesn't work. That starts the conversation in a very, very different place, rather than a more open dialogue. And then the second piece for me is the degree to which, just building on that first point, often the need is to come forward with a solution rather than necessarily calling out the problem.
The shocks just don't stop. They're going to keep happening. How do we build resilient organizations that can actually thrive in the future?
And also to make clear, as that last question from Jan brought out, the contribution that business needs to make, not just by voice, but by actions, including, as you've shown in your career, in the most disadvantaged communities to help people have opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have. So
having diverse viewpoints and bringing in diverse pools of talent into your workforce at every level does a number of things. It does deliver better innovation, better decision making, better results.